Perhaps over the course of our lives, every one of us has dreamed. Most dreams pass very quickly. When we wake up, we forget them almost immediately, as if they never existed at all. But there are also dreams that refuse to disappear. They linger in the mind, leaving behind a feeling that is difficult to name. Not quite fear, not quite curiosity, but something closer to a vague intuition that says, this dream is not like the others. Long before humanity knew modern science, dreams were already regarded as something existing on a fragile boundary between human beings and the universe. Many ancient civilizations believed that when people slept, they were not merely resting, they were entering another state of existence. And history, quietly and patiently, has left behind traces that force us to reconsider. There have been people who dreamed of their own deaths, not in vague symbols, but in clear, concrete scenes. So detailed they were haunting. They saw the place. They saw the time. They even felt the sensation of life leaving the body. What is strange is not that humans fear death. What is strange is this: the dream came true. When we look back on such stories through a modern lens, we may try to explain them with psychology, with mental pressure, with coincidence. And yet, a question quietly remains. What probability allows a dream to precede reality? Again and again, with such unsettling precision? That question becomes even heavier when we consider humanity's great disasters. Before September 11, 2001, there were ordinary people, neither famous nor powerful, who repeatedly dreamed of airplanes, fire, collapsing buildings, and an indescribable feeling of suffocation. Some woke in panic. Some told their families. Some even wrote their dreams down, as if doing so might calm themselves. After the tragedy, when those fragments were placed side by side, what sent chills down people's spines was not the pain, but the correspondence. Similarly, before the Titanic disaster, some passengers canceled their journeys at the last moment because of an unexplainable sense of unease. Others dreamed of dark seas, of tearing metal, of standing in an endless frozen night. When the ship finally sank to the bottom of the ocean, those dreams ceased to be dismissed as superstition. They became cracks in humanity's understanding of time and perception. If dreams are merely random rearrangements of memory, why can they carry images of a future that has not yet happened? And then, at the opposite extreme, dreams appear again, not in death or catastrophe, but in the birth of knowledge. Many world-changing discoveries did not arrive during moments of intense effort, but in moments when control was completely released. In sleep, when willpower temporarily withdrew, the answer appeared, clear, coherent, complete. These scientists did not describe the experience as reasoning. They said they saw the solution as if it already existed somewhere, and the dream was simply the moment they touched it. This raises a deeper question, one more philosophical than scientific. Is human consciousness still bound by the same limits in dreams as it is when awake? When awake, we are constrained by time, by linear logic, by rules we call reality. But in dreams, time can stretch or collapse. Past and future can merge, and events that have never occurred are experienced as memories. If the brain can only process information based on data it already has, then where do dreams obtain data from the future? Perhaps the problem does not lie with dreams themselves. Perhaps it lies in how quickly we have labeled them illusory. Maybe dreams are not the opposite of reality, but another layer of reality, one we cannot access during the day but accidentally enter at night. Maybe when the body rests, human consciousness does not disappear, but merely changes the way it exists. And if that is true, then dreams are no longer a biological byproduct. They become a question about the nature of being human. Who are we when we are no longer bound to the body? How many layers of reality are we truly living in? And is what we call wakefulness really the only state of being awake? Perhaps every night when we fall asleep, we do not vanish at all. We simply, temporarily, remember something we forget during the day. So the question is no longer, why are dreams so strange? But rather, could it be that dreams are showing us a part of reality, one we are too restless to notice while awake? When speaking of dreams, modern science usually begins with the brain. Brain waves are measured, cortical activity is analyzed, neurotransmitters are tracked as humans descend into deep sleep. From this perspective, dreams are seen as physiological phenomena, processes by which the brain reorganizes memories, emotions, and information gathered during the day. This explanation sounds reasonable, but only to a point, because while science can describe how the brain changes during dreams, it still cannot answer the most important question. Why do dreams contain those specific contents, and why do they sometimes exceed anything the brain has ever known? Even neuroscientists admit this much. The true nature of dreams remains an enigma. Science can describe the mechanism, but remains silent about meaning. And it is precisely in that silence that ancient perspectives begin to speak. In Eastern cultivation traditions, dreams were never regarded as random. On the contrary, they were considered a highly special state of existence. According to these traditions, humans are not composed solely of physical bodies. Within the body exists something more subtle, called the soul, consciousness, or original spirit. When awake, this subtle aspect is tightly bound to the body, forced to obey biological rhythms, sensory input, and material limitations. But when humans sleep, that binding loosens. Not everyone leaves the body during dreams, but according to cultivation beliefs, in certain states, consciousness can partially detach, enough to travel through spaces unreachable during the day. This leads to a phenomenon most of us have experienced, yet rarely examined deeply: the terrifying realism of dreams. When dreaming, we do not need to tell ourselves this is real. We know it is real until we wake up. Emotions in dreams are no weaker than those in waking life. Fear, joy, pain, loss, all are fully present. If dreams are merely false images created by the brain, why can consciousness merge with them so completely? And there is an even stranger phenomenon: dreams within dreams. There are dreams in which you realize you are dreaming. You wake up, only to awaken inside another dream. The boundary between awake and asleep begins to dissolve. In that state, the question is no longer whether the dream is real, but rather which state is the true one. Eastern philosophy calls this false awakening, a simulated state of wakefulness. It raises a deeply unsettling problem. If in a dream we believe we are awake, how can we be certain that right now we are not dreaming another dream? Modern science, intriguingly, has begun approaching this question from a completely different direction. Contemporary physics suggests that the universe is not as simple as human senses perceive it to be. Space may not have only 3 dimensions. Time may not flow in only one direction. Some theories propose that multiple layers of space-time exist simultaneously, overlapping yet not directly interacting because they vibrate at different frequencies. Humans with physical bodies can only tune into a very narrow band of reality. Other layers, if they exist, are still there, but beyond ordinary perception. In this context, dreams take on new meaning, perhaps when the body rests and physical senses quiet down. Consciousness is no longer jammed by material noise. It becomes more sensitive, more open. And in that state, consciousness may touch layers of information inaccessible during the day. This would explain why time is non-linear in dreams, why hours of experience can unfold in minutes, why events yet to occur, or memories not belonging to this life can appear. If time in dreams does not obey familiar physical laws, then dreams preceding reality are no longer so mysterious. From the cultivation perspective, it is even simpler. Time itself is not fundamentally fixed. It is merely a property of the space humans inhabit. When consciousness temporarily leaves that space, it is no longer bound by before and after. In this sense, dreams are not imagination, but real experiences in another layer of existence. If so, the important question is no longer, are dreams real? But rather, by what standard do we judge reality? Perhaps humanity has long equated reality with what can be seen and heard, and in doing so, has overlooked subtler forms of consciousness. When we sleep, we do not shut down. We step off one familiar stage and onto another, where the rules are different. And if that is true, then dreams are not the opposite of life. They are simply another door within the same reality, a door that opens every night, but one that very few people ever stop to ask where it leads.